Welcome to today's live stream. Today we're going to be doing lab number 9. We're going to audit and crack some passwords within our lab environment here. We're going to use John the Ripper. I'm going to show you some techniques and explain to you why password complexity is important. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, if you have any questions, please leave a comment or email info@cyberkrafttraining.com. Okay, so we're going to start with our Kali Linux machine, and we're going to do most of this in the Kali box. If we look at our resources, we only have the Kali machine available. I'm going to show you some stuff outside of Kali just to show you what we're doing with these passwords and the technology behind it. So let's go ahead and log into the Kali machine. And we're actually going to take a look at this password that we've been using throughout the whole lab, the PA $$ W0RD password. So we're going to take a look and see why that might not be the best password. Okay. So basically in this scenario, the one we've concocted or that's presented to us, we're going to be sending out an employee survey asking harmless questions. This is basically a way to test our employee awareness and the awareness of our employees and their security know-how. Okay, so we'll be asking a seemingly harmless survey here, but really the survey is going to ask for some critical information. Okay. Then we're going to use a password cracking utility. We're going to use John the Ripper to crack these passwords and to determine what they are. So let's say we're going to have, we have some email. Here's an email message that we sent. Okay. So in this scenario, we've sent an email message. Please fill out the following survey so that we can get to know you better and celebrate significant events. What's your birthday? What's your spouse's name? When is your anniversary? What is your pet's name? Now, most people understand that these are usually questions you would use that you would answer if you're trying to recover your password. So hopefully your employees are smart enough to know not to answer or give out that information. Now, this should be part of your security awareness training to explain why questions like this shouldn't be answered. This is kind of the scenario here is a little artificial in my opinion. That's okay. All right, so we got the following surveys. Some people gave no responses, like user 6. Good on user 6. Some people gave everything. Okay. So we have birthdays, we have spouse names, we have anniversaries, and we have pets names. Okay. All right, so now we have to create these accounts with these passwords here. So we're signing into our root account with Kali. And we're going to open a terminal. We're going to do everything in the terminal. Really good opportunity to practice some basic terminal commands with this one. So we're going to add user, _ geckos, user 01. Okay. Now we're going to put the password in. You're going to have to manually type this password, so please do try and get it correct. 06101988. Okay. Hit enter, and then you're going to have to do it again. 06101988. Okay. Password updated successfully. So what we've done here with add user, we've created that user, and then we've set their password. All right. This is a Debian distribution, as this explains. We could also, if add user isn't working in your Kali distribution, maybe you have one you're working and you're following along at home, try user add. That's usually a very common, it depends on your Linux distribution, which one you're going to be using. So we're going to do this for all of these, okay? And then we're going to set the password as the passwords here. Okay, so we're going to continue doing this. Now, the easy way to do this would just be to press up on the arrow key, change user 1 to user 2. Okay, so we're going to hit user 2 there. So we're going to hit user 2, then we're going to hit the new password, PASSWRD. And I'm just going to do this pretty quickly. So all I'm doing is hitting up on the arrow key to recall the previous command that I just did. I'm hitting enter, and I'm typing in the new passwords for each of these people. I'm using this list here I see on the right to find those passwords. Now you can see with this password spot, I know you can't see me typing this in, but this is spot with a $sign for an S and a 0 in there. So this is somebody's, probably their pet's name. And a lot of people use their pet's name as their password, which is why asking for information like a pet's name, though it might seem, just innocent, is actually a good way to get some information that could lead to a successful hack. And then this is going to be user 6. User 6, remember, he didn't put any information in that survey that we sent. So this is a good user, a user who knows or understands security practices. Okay. I think Duke was also one of the pet's names. Let's take a look. Yeah, Duke was a pet's name. Duke. Okay. So we've added our users. We should have 6 users in there. And we're going to confirm that the 6 users exist. Yep, that was correct. All right. Now we're going to add passwords. Or we're going to start working with John the Ripper now. So basically, John the Ripper will use lists. It'll look at different passwords that are stored within our distribution here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create, or we're going to recall the results of the survey that we have stored in this machine. So we're going to run that. We're going to run a gunzip command /user /share word list. Good morning. /user /share /word list /rocku.txt. Okay, great. So now we're going to go ahead and so we've unzipped the survey results that we have, and now we're going to open those results. Vim /user /share /word list /rocku.txt. Okay, and here's the list that we have. And now this is a list of passwords, essentially. Okay, or a word list that essentially we're going to be using to find, or we're going to point John to. So password cracking utilities like John the Ripper can use things called rainbow tables. Rainbow tables will associate a password hash to a certain password. I'm going to talk about that a little later. Let's hit the I key. We're going to insert. Okay. Now we need to do this at the top of the file. Let me make sure I get to the top of the file. Sometimes it helps to have, I'm one of those mice that has a wheel that can detach. It spins quicker if you press a certain button. It can be very helpful in situations like that. I find it pretty helpful in the cybersecurity field. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we've already inserted. We could take away some of these passwords. It's fine. Let's just start here. 0610198. So this is the password that we put in there. Password Duke, George, and Spot. Okay, so basically we're modifying this word list that we're going to be using for John the Ripper to include these passwords that we have already. Okay. So that should be fine. So now we should be able to hit escape and then enter. Oh no, we need to press WQ and then enter. All right. So that's saved this. All right, so that text file should be updated, that word list. And then we should be fine. Okay. Now it says return to the command prompt. That's not, we're returning to our terminal prompt. Not really command prompt. Okay. So now we're going to combine two files here. We're going to combine the etc password and the etc shadow files. So since we have these passwords right now, they're stored in two different directories. We're going to combine those. Okay. So we're going to first off create a text file that combines the usernames and the password hashes. So we're going to hit unshadow /etc/password or PASSWD space /etc/shadow space crack this file. Okay, so now we've created a directory within John the Ripper. Okay. And now we're going to be using John the Ripper. So you can access John the Ripper a couple different ways. We can access it through up here, John the Ripper, if we like. And if you do it this way, you get to see some syntax usage. You get to see some different commands. Now, the commands for John the Ripper are pretty simple. You start off with John, space, and then whatever your command, usually starting with a double dash. Okay. So we can do John space double dash. We're going to point to that word list that we created. Word list is going to be, it's going to equal, word list equals user /share/word list. Now we're going to pick that word list that we created, that rocku.txt /rocku.txt space crack this file. Okay, so now we've started and we've done that command correctly because we're getting some inputs here. Warning, hash type detected as SHA-512 crypt, but the string is also recognized as HMAC SHA-256 or HMAC SHA-56. Now, SHA-512, remember, secure hashing algorithm has a couple different flavors or a couple of different versions. Okay, we have secure hashing algorithm 512, which would be 512 bits, and we also have SHA-256, which is a pretty common one. That's a hash of the password. Okay, now just refresh you guys with password hashes. What we're doing here is John the Ripper is going to be taking a look at password hashes. So let's take a look at what a hash is. Remember, hash is a one-way function. Okay, so if we take the word password here, okay, let's clear this out. Or we take any input. Any input is going to provide a fixed length output. Okay, so the hashing algorithm is going to do a mathematical equation and then from that produce a hash. So this is a SHA-256 hash generator. You can find this online. So if we just type in any character, this could be a whole document, this could be a file, this could be a video, this could be anything. We could put it into the hashing algorithm and it's going to generate a hash. Now the hash should be unique for every single input. Okay. A good security practice is to store a password hash and not a password itself. So if, say the password for our lab environment. We need to authenticate users when they log on using that password. To do that, the computer, the authentication server, needs to know what that password is, but it's not a good idea to store this plain text value, the password right there, on the authentication server. What you'd want to do is you'd want to store a hash of the password. Because say a hacker comes in, they crack or they hack that authentication server and they recover these passwords, they recover these hashes. If they recover just plain text values, they'll know the password and they can go and log in. But if they see a bunch of hashes, they're not going to know what those hashes mean or what the representing password is because the hash is a one-way function. So you would store this hash instead of the password here. Now, password cracking utilities like John the Ripper will look at things like rainbow tables and word lists to determine what hashes equal what passwords. Now, here's an online rainbow table, essentially. Okay, so these values have been computed before we even use this tool. Okay, so commonly known hashes, like most likely this password, okay, would already have been calculated. If we look at our password strength for that word password, $, $W0RD, you could see that this is going to be cracked in 0 seconds with modern password cracking tools because this is such a commonly used password. Okay, it's just a variation of the word password, and any variation of the word password is going to be cracked very simply. Okay, I could do whatever I want to make it look not like the word password. It's still going to be cracked because people use this word all the time. Okay, if you're using the word password or any variation of the word password, it's going to make your password very insecure. So what we want to do to make this a little more secure is to add complexity, add length. Okay, make this seem like something completely different. Okay, so we can do, like, I don't know, the name of a state. That's kind of hard to do. Well, we'll do it anyway. So we can do Illinois. We can add upper and lowercase characters. Now we can start adding numbers. Okay. Once we add numbers, it adds a little more complexity, and then we can add some special characters. Okay, now all of a sudden we have a very strong password. It's going to take modern computers 44 years to crack this. Okay, so all I've done is the state name, added some numbers, and added some special characters. If I take away the special characters, it makes it pretty easy to crack. If I take away the numbers, now it's very easy to crack. Okay, so now utilities like John the Ripper can look at, you can give them a rainbow table, and we can say we've recovered this hash. We can look up this hash and see, okay, is this hash included on this rainbow table? Okay, and this one is. It identifies this as a SHA-256 hash with the word password. And if we go back, that hash, if we generated that, that's exactly that same hash. So that's kind of what we're doing here with John the Ripper. We've given John the Ripper a word list to look at, okay? And it's identified that there's 7 password hashes, 7 different salts. Remember, a salt is something added to the password hash to make it a little more complex, okay? But John the Ripper was able to identify those, and it was able to crack the passwords for user 2, 3, 5, and 4. And it was able to get the root password because, again, this password is not very secure. So it was able to recover the word password, Duke, Spot, spelled a little differently, and George. It wasn't able to crack user 6's password because that was actually a pretty good password. If you go back, his password was good password, and also we didn't add it to the word list. We added all of these passwords to the word list here. Okay. All right. Anyway. Okay. So we've done this. Now it's still going to be running this audit because it hasn't cracked all the passwords yet. We could hit Q to quit it, and we could stop, and then we could do --show. Oh yeah, we gotta put parentheses in there. --show. Oh no, we already have those shown. Okay. So we see these passwords here that we were able to crack. And I'm not typing that in correctly. We have to do, first off, syntax is important. Remember that. So even though I have John open here, we have to still hit John first, --show. and then crack this file. We want to show the contents of the file that we cracked. And here's what we have here. We have user 2, 3, 4, and 5 with these passwords. Password, Duke, George, and Spot. Okay, and then also the root password. And we have that file. That file exists. Okay. Now we could also do, no, we don't have to do that. Now, when you crack a password like this, John the Ripper is going to be using most of the computational power of the computer to do the audit. We've already quit the cracking, so this step should come a little earlier, honestly. And we've already stopped the cracking. Okay, great. So John the Ripper was able to find the passwords for a lot of these users. Now we can store our results here into a text file. To do that, we just do John --show, crack this file, results, and then we're going to dump those results into that text file. So we're just using that caret to dump that into results.txt. And then remember, we can always cat to show that if we want. Okay. And we can verify that that's correct. Cat. So we just use cat, and then we type in the file name, and then we show the results. Now we've seen these results several times. You know, as John the Ripper was running and it cracked these passwords, we saw them here, and then we added them, we showed them as part of the file there, and then we stored that file as a text, and then we saw that again when we restored that file. Okay, so let's take a look at why were some of these passwords better than others. Well, let's take a look at the passwords themselves. Let's copy some of these. Let's copy good password, for instance. Okay, and then go to our password strength meter. Good password. Now, even though the lab says this is a good password, it's not, because it's a variation on the word password. And as I mentioned, that's not a good password. Even though it has a bunch of special characters as zeros, these are dollar signs, it's still not very good. If we added some numbers, it would help it a little bit, but it's not really going to help it that much. Okay. The only reason that John the Ripper was not able to crack that one is because, now if we gave it some more time, I'm sure it would be able to, is because we didn't add it to the word list. So the whole lab here is a little contrived. Okay. It's a little artificial. So what would be a good password here? Okay. Well, first off, you want to make your passwords 10 characters long. Try not to use any commonly used words, but the length of the password and the complexity of the password is much more important than if you're using commonly used words. Okay. So, let's say we want to use the word Saturday. We have a combination of upper and lowercase letters, or upper and lowercase characters. We can also add some numbers here, maybe at the beginning, at the end. Okay. And then we can add some special characters. Okay. So all of a sudden, it takes 30 years to crack our password. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 characters in length, and we have at least 2 numbers, at least 2 special characters, at least 2 uppercase and lowercase characters. So we have 4 different character sets. Now that's a good password right there. Let's take a look at this password, generate a hash for it, and see what hash we get. Okay, we get this hash. Now let's take a look at our rainbow table and see if this is stored in this rainbow table. Now the rainbow table doesn't have this value, which means it's not commonly been calculated before. So it's not found. So say a hacker was using a rainbow table like this one, and there's other ones. Rainbow tables can take up like 100 gigabytes of space on your computer. They could be enormous. You can use online tools like this, online rainbow tables, where they're just querying already stored value, but you could have them offline too. I have a couple on this machine that I use for demonstrations, and they're enormous files, but yeah, they can be quite large. Actually, let me pull one up here. I think I can pull one up that I have. Yeah, here's some I have on my site or on my computer. So these are word lists by letters of the alphabet. So here's one for the letter H. And you can see just some of the values that are stored here. I think this was based off of a leak. What was this? This is an older one from 2016. But you can see the values. This is just a list of commonly used passwords or passwords that were found within this hack, whatever. And these are commonly shared. Some of these are passwords. Some of these, you have some email addresses that got their way in here. But yeah, a lot of these are passwords. So if you typed in, you put this word list into John the Ripper would query this list first to determine if those were possible password matches. So just an example of a rainbow table. I got a few of these here. Most of them were older. But hackers will use these rainbow tables. So say they're targeting a certain organization and they have hashes from that organization they've recovered. There could be some hackers out there who have calculated or created some word lists specifically for that organization. So maybe it's Target, okay, and they, like the department store. And Target's had a breach. They have a bunch of passwords that have been released. Some hackers could calculate or take those password hashes and then create word lists, and then other hackers who found those hashes could try and crack those using those rainbow tables. Hackers are very good about sharing information with one another. So that's why it's very important to have a very strong password. Okay, let's get back to the lab. I hope that was helpful and helped explain these passwords and why we're doing this a little better. Okay, so we've done everything here. So answering these comprehensive questions, which of the following best describes the purpose of the survey in the attack? Okay, so the survey was to gather likely passwords. Remember, we did this survey at the very beginning. We asked what your birthday is, what your spouse's name, what your anniversary, what's your pet's name. Those are either answers, those are questions that are used to verify your identity. Say you forgot your password, you want to verify your identity using an alternative means. You might be presented with questions like this. Or sometimes a lot of people use like their pet's name or their spouse's name or birthday as their password. Okay, and then we see that used in the scenario, how Spot and Duke were used as passwords. So that's pretty common. So I'm going to say to gather likely passwords. Which of the following best describes the process the hacker used in the simulated attack? Crack the root user's password and then reset the password for the standard users. That's not correct. Ask users for their passwords directly and then add them to the word list. Not totally right. Read the passwords from the etc shadow file and then add them to the word list. Gathered information from the user is often used for passwords and then added that information to the word list. That's what we did. We did a survey. We asked users to get that information to us, and then we added it to a word list. Have you seen these kinds of surveys online? Yes. Okay. Now, as a member of the security team, when you're training your users, you do want to train them to not give out personal information like that, even seemingly innocent information like your pet's name, your spouse's name, because of things like this. Now, this whole scenario, it's not my favorite lab. I think there's a little cooler, there's better ways to show off John the Ripper and some of these password cracking tools, but it does get to the point in some way. We could do this in a different way, but it does kind of get to the point. I do hope explaining password strength and complexity and what these hashes are. You can use these hash generators to get all of these different hashes. We could do 512 hashes, MD5 hashes. Remember, we don't use those for passwords. all of these different types of hashes. And then using these rainbow tables can be pretty helpful. Now these can calculate multiple values for different hashes. So if we say we did MD5 hash and we did the word password, we get MD5 hash here. This crack station should be able to find that pretty easily. Yes, it recognizes that MD5 hash. So it does multiple hashes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and submit our lab. I hope that helps explain what hackers are doing. Hackers aren't finding the plain text values of passwords. They're finding the password hashes. Then they're using rainbow tables and password cracking utilities to get those values. All right, so we passed our lab. Great job. And again, if you have any questions, please leave a chat. info@cyberkrafttraining.com. You can email us. Anything, we're here to help. So thanks so much for watching today. Hope this is really good. And if you're looking for Security Plus training, check the links in the description. We got a free video training on how to register and take your exam online. And we also have boot camps we run every month, live instructor-led training. And we have our self-paced course where you'll get access to all the Learn Labs environment. All these labs that we go through here on YouTube, you'll get access to those. You'll get digital textbook and 25 hours of video. If you like the videos, you'll get 25 hours of video lessons watching me teach you about Security Plus. So if you're looking to get your Security Plus, we're here to help. But thanks so much.